Okay, it's like Thursday, August 4th, I think. Um, I'm actually on the roof of one of the buildings that we have doing security camera stuff. We had already set them up and got them all working, but we started having issues with the cables. And we were just going to leave the cables on the roofs, just let them run across it because it'd be easy to move them when we had to redo the roof or whatever. But these are fairly cheap cables and they just do not like the sunlight, and they started failing like within weeks. And we got new cables and we've been working on it slowly on getting all the conduit run to put the cabling in and everything. And I've actually had the conduit up over here for a few weeks, but it ended at a certain point, and that would be right about where the cameras were mounted. That was because we had to how would I say it? We're putting all the cameras on conduit boxes, like that one over there that you can see. I hope you can see it. But anyway, yesterday was a rough day because we had one of the cameras for the camera system was really bad signal, and it was on a new cable. So we're like, okay, what's going on here? Well, the new cable had it wasn't bad, it was just, it didn't make a good connection. So I went ahead and figured out what it was and found out that was what it was, and cut the end off the cable and the camera, and then just soldered the wires together and shrink wrapped and all that, everything together so it was nice and watertight, and it's going to be in conduit so it doesn't matter. But at the same time, I put two cameras in boxes, and it took me literally all day to just figure this stuff out and get it going again. Now today, I'm actually on my first camera of the day. It's like 10 o'clock or a few minutes after. But yeah, this is a 2-story building at the front and 3 stories at the back. And I prefer to do all the work on the underside and have it so it was nice and neat in a different way like the one I showed you was, but because 2 of them are at the lower end of the building and it's 3 stories tall, roughly, to the other side where that camera's mounted, I can't do that. My ladder's only 28 foot, and even with it extended to the full length, which is 28 feet now, it's still not quite tall enough. I fall like 5 or 6 feet short of being able to do what I need to do down there, and it's very aggravating. So I'm just doing those 4 cameras, well actually 3 of them on the face, and it'll work, it'll look decent, but it's just sometimes you have to do stuff like this. I wish I had my GoPro, but I think somebody stole that. And if you would like to help the cause of getting another GoPro, I only need just plain GoPro. I don't need the expensive ones. I think the one I had was like $120 or something like that at Walmart. I just need another one of those. But if enough funding comes in to get a better one, I will. I'd rather have a better one that I can change the batteries out on, and have a few extra batteries maybe, but just take it a step at a time. And it sucks, but the guy that actually broke into my van, he actually broke into 2 vehicles that I was driving, the van and my buddy's car that I was driving for a few days while the van was down, waiting on insurance. And he broke into the van twice in a 3-day period. The second time he came back, he just came back to get the rest of the stereo because he already had the faceplate. And that kind of ticked me off. But what can you do? But then he came back that weekend on a Saturday night, or Saturday evening, and broke into my buddy's car. And that's where my GoPro happened to be. And he found it and took it. I'm definitely not happy with him. The funny thing is, the guy who did it, I got him on camera with the security cameras. He didn't realize there was one watching my van. It's the advantage of being a management and maintenance at the apartments I live in. is I can watch stuff like that. I can set the cameras up to catch my stuff too. And that's kind of the way they are. Not just my stuff, but it catches the whole building altogether. 16 cameras total on 2 buildings, 5 apartments each. So that's not bad. The guy that did it, it's really weird. He only hit my 2 vehicles, didn't touch anybody else's. My next door, the guy that lives right across the driveway from me, his car was down there. He has a hell of a stereo system, you know, and they didn't even try and touch his car. Okay, several cars around here, and nobody that were better than mine, and they touched mine. So it's a planned hit. I know it, and there's a couple of apartments I suspect it could be. One in particular, because a few months ago I had, and I hear the mailman coming, I had somebody break the rear window on my van. And it just happened to have been the night before my boss had delivered the tenant above me an eviction notice. And then the very next morning my windows broke. And then a few months later, my tenant talks to them about some stuff that they're doing wrong and everything, and trying to get it straightened out and get them to do right and stuff. And the very same night, my van's broken into. Same week I've got 2 vehicles broken into. Nah, that was planned. But anyway, that's just how it goes sometimes. Can't do anything about it. Thankfully my insurance was good. They actually were kind enough to give me enough money to replace pretty much everything I had lost except for the GoPro, but also I had to get an alarm system. That was one of the requirements. So I used some of the money and bought me an alarm, put it in myself, and I got a few little extras to go with the alarm. They have the shock sensor, which is good if somebody bumps into your car hard or they break the glass. But if they're trying to just open the door, it doesn't sense that until they go to close the door. If they close it hard, if they close it soft, chances are they're going to get away with it. So what I got was, it's an adjustable sensitivity motion sensor for that alarm. And it goes in place of the shock sensor, and just the old lady just touching the car so lightly to look in the window and see what kind of stereo I put in there. I mean, she was just barely even touching it. She wasn't even bumping it, and it was causing the alarm to chirp and give her a notice. So yeah, it was set a little sensitive, but that was the way I wanted it. One of those tandem axle dump trucks, the trailer ones. And it was about half full of dirt. And I wonder if they might not have been going down the street where we had a nice water main break the other day, and it actually affected the whole road. It went from started on one side, and it had the other side of the road buckling up too. And it kind of washed out underneath there, and they dug out most of it, fixed the water leak and everything, got the water back on, but then they just put a little patch over the hole where it was, but didn't dig up where it had run over and met the storm drain and was draining through there. So now there's a pothole forming in the street where it's just buckling through because it can't handle the weight. That's the East Bay mud for you. But they'll be back, I'm sure of it. So I'm gonna get back to work on these cameras. I gotta mount these camera bases on the box cover. I'll just use that base and a few of these pan head screws, which are just the right length and everything, and go with those. They're only what is it, 5/8 of an inch or 3/4, something like that. There's 100 of them in the box. Yeah, 3/4 number 8s, and it'll work. I should have gotten number 6s, but what can you do? Hey. But yeah, this is it's gonna be a fun day. Cloudy as hell. I don't know if it's rain or fog. I think it's just fog, but it hasn't burned off yet at 10 o'clock, which is rare. And I see this is getting a long video, so I'm gonna share another one later and post it.